the latest South Korean thriller Taste of Horror has officially hit the screens in 2023. Ever wondered how terrifying it would be to suddenly face a blackout while sprinting on a treadmill? The story unfolds in an apartment complex where the resident's representative, annoyed by the unnecessary electricity usage of the free gym running past 11 p.m., confronts the keeper for not adhering to the rules. She forcibly orders the keeper to cut the gym's power, but in an unforeseen twist, as soon as the keeper turns off the lights, disaster strikes. A blackout causes a woman running on the treadmill to fall, and her hair gets entangled in the machine, which horrifyingly doesn't stop. This gruesome scene is witnessed by the resident's representative and the keeper through a security monitor. In a chilling moment, the woman's head is gruesomely injured by the treadmill. The plot then shifts to Hyun-gu, who learns about this budget-friendly apartment with a free gym from his brother. The keeper informs him that the gym is off limits after 10 p.m. Hyun-gu, unaware of the reason for this early closure, doesn't question it. However, after Hyun-gu leaves, the treadmill mysteriously starts moving on its own. He arrives punctually at 9 p.m. for his workout. During his rest, he notices a woman running next to him. Hyun-gu, not intending to strike up a conversation, realizes he can't move his exercise equipment. Despite numerous attempts, it remains stuck. Just as Hyun-gu tries to ask the woman for help, she vanishes, and the lights go off. Turning around, he finds the running woman eerily perched on his equipment, pressing down on his thighs. Exhausted from his workout and burdened by the additional weight, Hyun-gu struggles to withstand the pressure. Just when it seems his legs might get crushed, the lights abruptly turn back on. Hyun-gu quickly escapes from the machine. The keeper, announcing that time's up, urges Hyun-gu to leave. Hyun-gu, suspecting the keeper's involvement, leaves cursing, leaving the keeper bewildered. Unbeknownst to him, he leaves his phone behind on the treadmill. Realizing his loss back in his room, he reluctantly returns to retrieve it. However, as Hyun-gu grabbed his phone and turned around to leave, a ball behind him suddenly started moving on its own without any wind. When Hyun-gu, trembling slightly, turned around and saw that it was just a ball, he immediately let out a sigh of relief. But as he turns to leave, he encounters a woman squatting at the doorway. The scene shifts to the keeper in the control room, where he sees Hyun-gu still running on the treadmill, unaware that Hyun-gu's actions are not of his own volition. At this moment, Hyun-gu's body is moving uncontrollably, and the one manipulating his running is the woman behind him. Following the deaths of 2 people in the gym, the resident's representative hastily orders the keeper to shut down the facility and strictly prohibits discussing the matter publicly. However, that very evening, as the representative is on her way home, she receives a call from her son. He tells her he's currently working out at the gym and will be home late. The mention of the gym sends a shiver down her spine, and she urgently yells for her son to come back immediately. But by then, he's already hung up the phone, and it's precisely 11 p.m., the bewitching hour at the gym. Have you ever seen fresh fish under the sky? But have you ever seen a rain of mice under the sky? 1 by 1, 2 by 2, countless mice fell from the sky, dropping into the secret room where the girl was. What exactly is happening here? The story begins with Ji-yeon's vague recollection of being rushed to the hospital, covered in blood. However, she awakens on a mattress, only to find herself trapped in a sealed chamber, paralyzed. Unable to move her fingers or toes, she's confronted with a ticking countdown clock, the purpose of which is a mystery to her. Her cries for help go unanswered, and she soon loses consciousness. When Ji-yeon awakens, she attempts to move, struggling to lift herself off the bed. In a tragic twist, she falls, hitting her head on the ground, thankfully just fainting. Upon regaining consciousness, Ji-yeon finds herself in new clothes. Suddenly, something falls from above. It's a rat. Before she can process this bizarre event, more rats begin raining down, covering the floor. Looking up, she sees countless rats descending from the sky, causing her to faint again. When Ji-yeon next wakes, she finally meets a real person, her doctor, Han-ul, who explains that they are in a rehabilitation center. Han-ul solemnly informs her that she's brain dead due to a car accident and lies in a vegetative state. The chamber represents Ji-yeon's brain space, and unless she regains bodily function before the countdown ends, she may never wake up. Convinced by Hanul's words, Ji-yeon starts exercising on a treadmill in the corner, determined to overcome her physical limitations. Despite initial falls and stumbles, her perseverance pays off, and she gradually regains mobility. Just when Ji-yeon believes she's nearing success, she discovers a message under her mattress: "Wake up quickly." At that moment, she looks up to see a terrifying giant eye in the sky. Screaming in fear, it turns out this was all just a dream. However, the real nightmare for Ji-yeon was just beginning, as she saw that her originally long and slender legs were gone. For Ji-yeon, a dance student, this was like a bolt from the blue. However, it's a false alarm. Her legs are intact. Relieved, she calms down but soon notices someone crouching in the corner, eating something horrifyingly revealed to be an eyeball. Terrified, Ji-yeon confronts Hanul, who enters the room. In a fit of panic, Ji-yeon tries to attack Hanul but is immobilized by a remote control. Hanul explains that defeating her, a doctor, is pointless. Ji-yeon's real battle is with herself. Hanul advised Ji-yeon to try running on a treadmill to pass a challenge, suggesting it might not be too late. Otherwise, the remaining 10 minutes might be her last moments of life. And Ji-yeon, accepting this, came to the treadmill and ran with difficulty. She seemed to know this might be her last chance, so she ran with all her strength, because she knew once she stopped, she would have no chance left. Ji-yeon saw a dazzling light engulf her entire body. The scene shifted to reality. In a hospital lab, aside from a few scientists, there was Ji-yeon, lying in a hospital bed, having lost her legs, and several mice were connected to Ji-yeon's brain. Hanul attempted to stimulate the girl's brain into awakening through the movement of the mice. However, repeated failures and the death of the mice indicated their slim hopes. In another world, Ji-yeon also shed tears of unwillingness. The girl scored 99 on her exam but received a heavy slap from her mother. Thus, the girl wished upon the sky that if there was any way to score 100, she would do anything, and this was the beginning of the horror. The girl's name was Yu Kyung. Although she studied very hard every day, she still couldn't satisfy her mother. Not only was she often beaten by her mother and went without dinner, but Yu Kyung was also ridiculed by her sister Sun Kyung for lacking spirit, looking pale as if she were an emotionless robot. Translated into English, but Yu Kyung also longed to be a normal girl with smiles every day. She thought of the disdainful expressions her mother and Sun Kyung gave her. Thus, she made a wish to an unknown deity, willing to do anything if it would enable her to score 100. The next day, Yu Kyung faced an exam filled with questions she couldn't answer. She was mocked by her classmates, and even the teacher suggested she should repeat a year to be able to enter medical school. Yu Kyung, feeling disheartened, was walking home when suddenly a strange person behind her called out to her, and this person looked exactly like her. This strange and eerie woman told Yu Kyung, "I received your wish yesterday, but if you want to fulfill your wish, you must provide me with the offerings I need." The woman said that the mantis Yu Kyung had just stepped on could be considered the first offering she gave to herself. Yu Kyung is left shocked and alone when the woman vanishes. That night, Yu Kyung dreams of people offering sacrifices to deities to fulfill their wishes. Waking up, she senses someone behind her. The next day at school, Yu Kyung is surprised by the simplicity of the exam paper and effortlessly scores a perfect mark. This reminds her of the strange woman's words and makes her wonder if it was all true. Returning home to praise from Sun Kyung and her mother only adds to her joy. Driven by her success, Yu Kyung sacrifices a small hamster the following day, and unsurprisingly, she scores another perfect mark. Her confidence grows with her grades. Yu Kyung then sets her sights on a cute teddy bear, realizing she needs to continue offering sacrifices to maintain her streak of perfect scores. However, as the sacrifices increase, so does the changing Yu Kyung, from timid to cruel and extreme. Upon returning home one day, Yu Kyung can't find the kitten she had bought. After questioning Sun Kyung, she learns her sister took the cat to school, having already fed it. Yu Kyung's concern, though, is not for the cat, but for her exam the next day. In a twisted turn of thought, she decides that since her cat is gone, Sun Kyung will have to be the sacrifice instead. Consequently, Sun Kyung becomes the victim of Yu Kyung's cruel act. When their mother returns home and finds the house eerily empty, she goes to Yu Kyung's room to inquire about Sun Kyung's whereabouts. She was shocked to find Sun Kyung's severed head on the floor, and Yu Kyung turned towards her, tilting her head slightly, and said to her,
"내일도 만점이야."
This sexy dancing beauty is in fact a food podcast. While viewers may think that being a food broadcaster is all about enjoying various delicious dishes and making money while eating, they could never imagine the dark side of this seemingly glamorous career. The story begins when Nyam invited her fellow food broadcaster friend, Ura, to join her in a live broadcast, sharing tips on how to become a competitive eater. However, just as Ura was enthusiastically discussing her experiences, Nyam suddenly played a video from Ura's past as a food broadcaster. In the video, Ura was seen enjoying a plate of 99 sausages in front of her. As the food on her plate diminished, viewers noticed something odd. They saw Ura chewing but not swallowing the food, and instead, there were scenes of her vomiting, with the cola mysteriously disappearing, indicating that the video had been edited in a special way. This video not only left Ura embarrassed and unable to face her audience but also led to a rapid decline in her fanbase. Many accused her of cheating and being a fake food broadcaster. However, Nyam quickly changed her tone, claiming that the online video had been maliciously edited to tarnish Ura's reputation. To prove her point, she suggested a live competitive eating showdown between them to settle the matter. Nyam prepared 2 servings of 99 sausages and the eating competition began. However, it didn't take long for Nyam to finish eating, but Ura, who was beside her, still had half of the sausage left. Nyam was so proud of herself that she kept saying nasty things to Ura, and she even laughed at him, saying that the video just now was not real, right? Ura soon felt nauseous and vomited, which brought joy to Nyam. As the truth became clear, Ura's fans also abandoned her and joined Nyam's fanbase. With an increasing number of fans, Nyam's quality of life improved significantly. This was evident from the expensive food and champagne on her table during broadcasts. However, just as Nyam was reveling in her newfound success, Ura, who had been absent for a while, reappeared. She challenged Nyam to a food broadcast showdown to settle the score. The first round featured 30 donuts sent in by their fans. In a fierce battle, they quickly devoured all the donuts, with Nyam winning by a narrow margin. The second round is about to begin. This time, they ate the South Korean people's favorite fried chicken. 2 boxes of fried chicken disappeared in front of them very quickly. This time, Ura emerged as the winner. In the third round, they tackled a box of pig's trotters. Nyam, driven by a strong desire to win, triumphed in this round. The final round was a screen filled with salmon. Expensive salmon they grabbed and stuffed in their mouths. However, despite the freshness and deliciousness of the food, it no longer seemed like food to them. They were consuming envy and greed. Surprisingly, Ura won this round as well. On the other side, Nyam was looking at Ura, who calmly finished the remaining food on the table. Ura, however, stated that they were currently tied in the competition. So, what should they eat next? The viewers once again ordered 4 cakes for each of them, with the promise that whoever finished first would receive the prize money. With a signal, they started once more, abandoning traditional utensils and using their hands to stuff cake into their mouths. The scene was not only visually appealing but also a bit frightening. However, Ura effortlessly finished her portion, while Nyam struggled. The table was still filled with cakes, but Nyam couldn't hold on. She grabbed a nearby champagne bottle and drank it hastily. To her surprise, as soon as she consumed the champagne, she spat it out and collapsed. Because this bottle of champagne was given by Ura to Nyam, and Ura also added top-quality poison to the champagne. On the other side, Ura not only won the prize for this round but also gained a new batch of fans. What they didn't know was the extent of Ura's sacrifices behind the scenes for this food broadcaster competition. To erase the shame and lingering darkness that Nyam had brought into her life, Ura had secretly spent all her savings on a gastric operation to become a competitive eater. While viewers saw a glamorous woman on the screen, they could hardly imagine the hardships Ura had endured behind the scenes.
어떡하죠? 너무 감사합니다.
진짜 감사해요.
알람도 꼭 눌러주세요. 감사합니다.